Hey guys, so for this video I'll be recommending some K-pop albums that are some of my ultimate favorites. I will be making, I don't know how many videos, but if I recommended all the ones that I really love, it would just be way too long. So I want to talk about them individually for a bit, but these albums are basically the ones that I can listen to from beginning to end. No skips, extremely solid albums, and just, in my opinion, are K-pop albums that every K-pop fan should listen to, regardless of your fandom, etc. Because like a lot of the times, certain K-pop fans just listen to one group, which I completely understand, but you're missing out on listening to some just great music and great albums. So this is kind of just a suggestion if you're interested in just other groups and listening to good albums. So this is going to be a mix of older albums, newer, and I'll be making more videos with more albums. I will only be included one album per group, but I will be discussing what albums from certain groups I really enjoy if I like more than one, which is the case for some of these because certain groups make really solid music. So yeah, so these are not all the albums I recommend. These are some, because I'll be making different parts to talk about them individually. So let's get started with a great and amazing group, FX. So this is FX's fourth full-length album, Four Walls. This is the one with just four members. So after the departure of Sully, and this was an album that a lot of Miyus were waiting for because there was no concrete decision whether FX is going to continue or not. They haven't really promoted much since then, but this album was the best album, in my opinion, that was released that year for girl groups, along with EXO's, which I will talk about after this one. But this one, no skips, and like I was saying earlier, FX, listen to FX's Pink Tape. Obviously, I think that's like the one that's probably most talked about, Red Light, and Four Walls, because it's hard to pick between the three, but I listen to Four Walls more than the other three. This one's more, I guess, updated, and in my opinion is kind of like, it has the best title track as well, and it's just, SM did a fantastic job with this release, and I would say compared to the Red Light and to Pink Tape, this one's more cohesive in terms of sound. So you don't get like a random type of song just included into it, because that's what happens. That's what happens in Red Light and Pink Tape, because it's every song in each album is really good, but sometimes you get that one or two songs that you say like, oh, why did I include that one? Like, it's a good song, but it just doesn't fit well sonically. And for this one, I would say like every song feeds off each other, and but really highly recommend listening to FX, those three full-length albums and their mini album Electric Shock. That's when they started making flawless music, in my opinion. So definitely listen to FX. I'm really sad that SM hasn't done much with FX after this, because this was a golden era, in my opinion. It's just fantastic. Then another SM artist, EXO, which everyone probably knows. If you don't know EXO, you're living under a rock. But the reason why I picked Love Me Right and Not Growl was because I would definitely say this one's more, I would say, less dated than Growl, but I love Growl. I think if there's anything that every fan should listen to from EXO is their first their first and second full-length albums. So I liked Love Me Right a little bit more, but I can listen to Growl as well. That one is another classic that every K-pop fan should listen to. But my only issue with this with this album is that SM picked like the wrong songs to promote, because Call Me Baby and Love Me Right are really good songs, but it just doesn't summarize this album entirely. Like, in my opinion, they should have picked El Dorado as the title track, and then Exodus like as a promotional song that it deserves a music video, and the song, the last song in here, Yaksuk, 2014, like Promise. I'm obsessed with that song. And I love the concept of this. The packaging is great. SM, let me think. Yeah, SM doesn't usually do a bad job at packaging for EXO, but this is easy to store. I also have the Chinese version, and just really enjoyed this release from EXO. I recommend listening to the entire thing, no skips. All of these albums are no skips. Then moving on to Orange Caramel, which is kind of like a big throwback. If you haven't heard of them, they were a subunit of After School, which basically are disbanded, or there's still no announcement to what's really happening with After School, but all the members are leaving after the contracts are expiring. But this one is an interesting album. It's hard to get, but regardless, I think every fan should listen to it, because every song in here is really good as well. But one of the interesting things is that this is like not really a full-length album if you were to count like their previous releases. This is a compilation of like their hits, so you get a lot of music that was released and promoted before it was like released, if that makes sense. But if you looked at their track listing, or listen to their previous mini albums, like the one with Magic Girl and Aang, those songs are in here. Plus you get the singles Bangkok City and Shanghai Romance as well. So this is packed with songs that were promoted, and obviously the new song, which is Lipstick, as a single. So this is like, if you are able to find this, you don't necessarily need to get their stuff prior to this. And it's just amazing album. The concept is really quirky. I don't have the disc right here because I listen to it a lot, but decent packaging. Concept is really unique. I really miss Orange Caramel. It's just unfortunate how things went down with DSP. And let me look. Yeah, obviously the singles, because this is mostly half of this album was promoted. Really good album. If you like quirky and cute songs, that's what I recommend. And this is more of that fun side of K-pop, not so serious sounding. So if you want, yeah, it's just a fun album. Then moving on to t-ara. Actually, when I made my collection video for t-ara, one of the people on the comments asked me where to get this, and sorry to tell you, if you're looking for this album, it's really difficult to find for this edition, because this is the special limited edition that was released, and there's only like a certain amount of copies that were printed. So if you're willing to spend I don't know how much they're pricing it on eBay, but I would say it's probably like more than $50. But with that aside, honestly, this album is one of the first K-pop albums that I really, really enjoyed listening to, because this is when I really, really got into K-pop, and I listened to this one nonstop. This was back then when, like MBK, back then they were called Core Contents Media, but that's when they really, really cared about t-ara, because the album production is just, oh my gosh. This has, let me see, 16 songs. I honestly recommend every single track. A majority of the songs here did have a music video or were promoted on a live stage, so that was fun to see. Obviously, you got I Go Crazy Because of You, It Hurts, 1 in 1, like the first time, that got a music video. Bopi Bopi, that got a music video. Tick Tick Tock, really good song. Bye Bye deserves a music video. Apple SA was also got a music video, but it was like for a commercial. Falling You, Slows It Down, No No No, and then you got Kojimal, which is their debut song, the dance version, and I like that they did like a dancey version of it. And this is one of the few times that I can let it slide where you get different versions of songs, because there's because there's the slow version as the 13th track, but I don't really mind about that. Then we get Time to Love, which is one of my ultimate K-pop songs of all time. It's just like, I don't know how MBK did it, but it was a ballad but as a pop song. Because it's not a really famous song from t-ara. It was a collaboration with Supernova, which was another group that MBK had. But it's like a really, really, really good ballad that with a dance beat. So it was, in my opinion, it was genius production for that. Then you get Time to Love Part 2. Honestly, I can't tell them apart, but they do sound different. Like, I can't say, oh, this is 1 and this one's 2, but both are really good. Then you get This Good Person, which was a OST, and I'm not 100% sure if I'm correct, but it was like an OST that they recorded before making their official debut. So technically, I think that's t-ara's first song. But don't take my word for it. Maybe they released Lies first. And then the last track is Wanna Play, which is so catchy and fun. And this, I would say, this type of album would sound weird if they were to release it now. This is a really, really K-pop sounding album. Like, if you want to listen to that really classic K-pop that basically made K-pop popular, like internationally at the very beginning, where a lot of more people were getting interested after you got songs like G and Sorry Sorry going viral, and Big Bang's music, etc. This is that type of music that was really popular back then. Well, the K-pop music now is very on trend with the American music scene. Like, even though sometimes they're a little bit late, they're more updated in my opinion. Like, they're trying to keep up with the international sound of music. So K-pop is sounding, I guess, less and less K-pop sounding. I don't know if that makes any sense, but highly recommend this album. It's iconic, and unfortunately this is the only full-length album that t-ara has in Korea. And then here I have SHINee's Misconceptions of Us. I actually looked at the Wikipedia or for this, and so I'm technically cheating because SM has called this album the third and fourth album from SHINee, but I count it as one because obviously since I only making a video per one recommendation per group. I wanted to recommend listening to this whole thing because it's just really good. I would also recommend listening to One and One, but the reason why I didn't pick One and One and I picked this one, obviously this one has more songs and this one is more cohesive sounding compared to One and One, because One and One is a repackage of One, and the repack is filled with ballads, so it's kind of like a random mini album put into a full-length album, if that makes any sense. But this one is like a story basically, and I highly recommend listening to Misconceptions of Us. The Misconception series were amazing. The only downside is that Jonghyun was not in the music video for Why So Serious, so I guess that was like the only negative. But honestly, this is one of SHINee's more fun albums in my opinion. There's not a single song that I don't like here. A lot of people tend to recommend more listening to the Misconceptions of Me, which I completely agree. That one's that darker sound of SHINee that you just rarely get to hear from SHINee, and yeah, I really love this album. It's a good mix of pop, R&B. It's really fun and just songs to listen to. Let me see. Spoiler names all the songs, so that's a really good song. I just found that song really creative. Let me see. Punch Drunk Love, Beautiful, and Runaway. And then for Misconceptions of Me, Like a Fire, Excuse Me Miss, it's a bop. Dangerous, amazing. Why So Serious? I know there's some people who didn't like Why So Serious. I like Why So Serious. Honestly, every single song in here, highly recommend this, and I'm really glad that SM gave SHINee a really, basically 2 full-length albums, because they did take a long hiatus after the Hello era, because that's when Jonghyun had his dating scandal, so they were in Japan for most of the time. Then we got Sherlock, like a year. We waited a year and a half, and then Sherlock came out, and then we waited a whole year to get these 2 albums. So technically their discography wasn't really distorted when it came to promoting in Korea, especially because now they do solos and stuff. But really recommend listening to SHINee's Misconception series. And SHINee's albums in general are really different sounding, so really recommend. And then probably a group that doesn't get almost any attention, Boyfriend. This is their first full-length album, and I think it is their only full-length album. The repackage. And I'm not a huge Best Friend, but this is the album that made me start collecting Boyfriend, because at the beginning I didn't really enjoy their debut. Like, Boyfriend is a cute song. Don't Touch My Girl was catchy, and I think I forgot what the third single was called. I think it's called I'll Be There. I like that one. And then they released Janice, and I fell completely in love with their music. But this one, no skips. How many tracks are in here? 12 songs. So really recommend listening to. Starship does a really good job at producing albums. That's one thing that I really like about the company, even though they did screw up. Boyfriend, fantastic music from Starship. They do an amazing job at producing albums. That's no denial. That's why I really like Sister's discography as well, which I'll talk about Sister later in another video with one of their albums. But highly recommend listening to Boyfriend's repackaged Aya. And last but not least, but really a huge throwback, the Wonder Girls, the Wonder World. Wonder Girls, Wonder World. And maybe you don't recognize this packaging, but you might recognize this one, so that I'll take out the regular edition, because this is the special version of it. And to look at the track list as well. This one, the best Wonder Girl album ever. It's just, this and Reboot are amazing. The Wonder Years are it's really good if you want to listen to really nostalgic K-pop sounding songs. But it's difficult to pick between Reboot and Wonder World. But I picked Wonder World because I don't know, I like it a little bit more. But every single track in here, like JYP, this was like JYP's golden era, when everything that JYP touched with the Wonder Girls is pure gold. Unfortunately, it's not the same case with Twice and GOT7, because the songs that he has produced for GOT7 are not the best, and the Signal from Twice it's their worst song. But this album, oh my gosh, Girls Night Out, which is written by Yenny, like, it's a club banger. Be My Baby, really retro sounding, girls fun. Mien is a cover of an older Korean song, but they did a great remixing and mastering for it. It was featured in one of the teasers before this comeback, and everyone thought that was like the actual song. But oh my gosh, that one is so catchy and it's really good. Sweet Dreams, really good. Stop, Dear Boy, amazing. Dugo, good. Super B, Actual is, I would say, it's like the most quirky song in this album. That's Hedims or Lim's solo, featuring Sunny. Obviously, I think a lot of people know Sunny, but Sunny used to be under JYP, and like every JYP solo artist that ever leaves, they make it big. So hopefully Baekhyun and Park Jimin leave that hellhole, because JYP does a horrible job at promoting their solo acts. And that's what happened to Sunny, Jisoo, and a bunch of other people, and Ju as well. Be My Baby remix and New Shoes. But honestly, every single song in here, I love the concept as well. Just highly recommend listening to this. It's a classic album. So hopefully you guys enjoyed these recommendations. I really want to just talk about albums that I really like, and groups that I've been supporting for basically over 8 years now. So I guess my knowledge is a bit, I have a good knowledge of K-pop albums. I still have some more to recommend. So hopefully you guys listen to these. Also, if you're curious, I have collection videos as well. So if you haven't checked those out, you can browse to my channel and look for each of these groups. I made a video for all of these. But the one for Orange Caramel is listed as After School Collection. But other than that, I did upload a collection for all of these albums. If you have any other questions, you can comment down below. Or if you want me to make a certain video, try to make one if I can. But other than that, look forward to another video kind of like this, because I did rant a bit, and this video is quite long, but yeah, so I just can't imagine if I had more albums, talking about more albums in here. So this is part 1, so look forward to, I don't know how many parts it's going to be, but I made a list of a lot of albums that I want to talk about, and there are some that are more recent that I haven't arrived, and I'll talk about that later on. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and if you stuck around through all of that rambling, then I don't know. Alright, bye.